everybody, welcome to FoundFlix. On this Eating Explained, we're looking at the adaptation of the Stephen King book, The Long Walk, where a group of teenage boys compete in an annual contest known as The Long Walk, in which they must maintain a certain walking speed or get shot. I wasn't sure what to make of this one initially. I mean, are they really just gonna be walking for 2 hours? Yep, they are, and yet somehow it manages to really make it work. The plot structure itself is simple, but somehow it manages to feel much bigger than itself, becoming more about how humanity survives in the darkness. It is actually a lot more emotional than I anticipated, and it really does make you care about the characters. In particular, our front and center pair of compadres, Pete and Ray, both Cooper and David, give it their all here, and it's really thanks to them that you become so invested in their fates. It does also have some serious tightening tension as the numbers dwindle, sprinkled with bursts of shocking violence. It's kind of like you do know where things are headed. I mean, someone has to win, but it does manage to create some surprises along the way, including the ending. So let's check out The Long Walk, breaking down the story, the important character dynamics at play, as well as explaining the ending and comparing it to the book's ending, which is quite different. The opening presents a letter to Raymond Garrity, congratulating him on his acceptance into participation in The Long Walk. It describes the opportunity as a great honor to represent his state as a symbol of hope in these economically desperate times. It goes on, the entire nation will be watching via live broadcast with admiration and awe. The stakes are set. If you win the walk, there's promise of unimaginable riches, along with a single wish. It's a chance to break free and inspire the nation. Already you're going, wait, economically desperate times, but whichever dude wins the walk gets untold riches? Where does that money come from? Doesn't quite add up, you know. That's the point, obviously. Ray is struggling to go through with the decision, huffing in the car with his mom. A radio broadcast fills us in a bit more about the current state of the country, learning it's the 19th anniversary of a war that tore the nation apart. They tout the walk is for the good of society and will bring us all back to prosperity. Turn division into solidarity. Mom is struggling too, saying in a broken voice that he can still change his mind. Ray sighs. The backout date was yesterday. Well, maybe if he spoke with the major, and Ray knows exactly what the major would say. He is resolute. This is his decision, not hers. This is the only way. She starts, if your father was here, apparently a touchy subject, as he shoots back, well, he's not. They arrive at the base, and she notices that he brought a baseball, must have some meaning there. Like any good mom, she's baked him some cookies to take along. She's still broken up at him going, busting into tears, and will not let him go. He breaks from her embrace and assures her that he is going to be fine. It's just a few days, really. Ray leaves to meet the rest of the walkers, and another guy, Pete, happens to be walking up at the same time. He asks if he's ready for this, and he admits he's a little bit jumpy. Pete asks what his weight is, and they're about the same, which is good. Heavier guys supposedly get tired quicker. They spot one quite fit-looking dude, Stebbins, and are worried that that guy could clinch the whole thing, dubbing him Superman. They meet some others amongst the group, like Hank, confident that walking is his game. Then there's Art, who finds all this quite terrifying, but don't think about it too much. Pete suggests to just walk, and hey, maybe make some friends. They notice another antsy-looking kid, Curly. He claims to be 18, but they think that he lied to get accepted. A military vehicle approaches, and another kid stutters, oh shit, it's the major. The sunglass-wearing gruff man addresses the group, growling to sit down. They go through the process of bestowing everyone their own numbers one by one. When Stebbins gets his, the major specifically wishes him good luck, but none of the others. The boys all line up, and the major waxes about just how important the walk is. First of all, it takes real sack to take this on, proclaiming they are all men now. The country is still struggling, and the walk was started after the war to inspire and reintegrate the value of work ethic. Supposedly after each walk, there's a boost in production in the country. He feels that we have the means to return to our former glory, but the problem now is laziness. You boys are the answer. The long walk is the answer. He yells, we will be #1 in the world again, to rapturous cheers. The major lays out the basic rules. They keep walking until there's only one left. You gotta maintain 3 miles an hour. If you fall behind, you get a warning. If you can't make speed in 10 seconds, you get an additional warning. 3 warnings grants you a ticket, which means death. You can also erase a warning by maintaining speed for an hour. Oh, and if you go off the pavement, that's an immediate ticket. The goal is to last the longest. There will be only one winner, and there is no finish line. Now, boys, he asks, who's gonna win this thing? Leading to more cheers. He lets off a shot, and the walk officially begins. In mile 1, the whole group of 50 is walking in a clump with armed patrol watching over. Ray calls over to Pete, noticing it's pretty desolate out here. He thought there'd be more people watching, but the major doesn't allow spectators until the final stretch, except for locals. An officer salutes the boys, and number 5 Gary flips him off. At mile 5, we learn this is Ray's home state, Maine of course. 38 gets a warning, and they call it smart. He's testing the limits while he's still fresh. fresh, and shouldn't have a problem working off that warning so he can get back to square one. Stebbins is stuffing his face with sandwiches, and Pete wonders if that's a good idea. "Fuck off," he shouts back. Fair enough. Hank is chewing a piece of gum and puts it in his pocket rather than tossing it. He doesn't want to litter. Even Ray considers the entire road is just a bunch of litter. Gary is forced to stop due to a rock in his shoe and immediately gets a warning. The guys shout back to get up. He's just about to get his last warning and gets laced up in the nick of time, running to rejoin the others. They chide him for being a dumbass. "Hope you don't trip." Gary retorts that, well, he just bought himself a rest. Yeah, for 30 seconds. And besides, why we need a break already? They just started. At mile 7, the boys discuss winning and getting all that money. Art is religious, but regardless, he's not ashamed about wanting the cash. He grew up dirt poor in Baton Rouge. It was no picnic. Ray concedes the money is good, but there are more important things. The walk doesn't matter. The prize doesn't matter. When the system backs people into a corner and points to an escape hatch saying that's the only way out, of course everyone is gonna go for it. They're told it's the only way. 50 boys are chosen, but everyone in the whole country put into the lottery. They all do it despite it not being required. It's because they're all so desperate. Stebbins pipes up not to speak ill about the walk. He could get in trouble for that. "Arrest me," Ray taunts. Pete joins in. Is Stebbins gonna arrest him? Didn't think so. Ray teases his intentions here. Sure, money is important as he said, but people out there already have money and they aren't helping. It's just a myth. But if he wins, he's gonna make a difference. Ray tosses Pete the baseball and they play catch with a hearty laugh. Another kid, Harkness, breaks through the crowd and has notes on all of the various walkers. He aims to make a book about the walk from an insider's POV. It should be a gold mine. They point out if he wins, he wouldn't need money, and Harkness considers, well, it would still make a heck of a book. They pass by another small church and a lady watches on outside with a blank scowl. Little Curly starts grunting and is issued a warning. "It's a Charlie horse," he groans. "He can't go on." Ray and Pete grab him to assist him to keep going. It starts working itself out and they ask him to promise to keep going. He is unable to overcome the pain and collapses to the ground, getting his third warning. "It ain't fair," he cries, and they blow him away with a bullet to the head. The major calls this a warning to the others. You gotta keep walking. Pete pulls Ray along, things now feeling a lot more real. The major does at least honor his memory. "Let's walk for Curly." "For Curly," the group cries. Pete can sense Ray has something going on with the major. He calls for a fresh canteen and touches the soldier's gun. Pete is curious, and he shrugs. It's like knocking on wood. Pete spins around and relieves himself on those behind him, but does at least give them a heads up. Now that's a relief, he laughs. On to mile 17, and we start getting some insight into the different perspectives that Ray and Pete have. Ray is already feeling exhausted. He's not sure how much longer he can go. He's thinking all about the finish line. However, Pete thinks of things differently, knowing, as the major said, there isn't a finish line here. The key is to not think about getting to the end, but instead to make it to the next moment. Ray is curious then, well, what is he thinking about now? And he says for now, he just has to make it through this goddamn heat. Pete spins some poetic words and Ray is impressed. He's not actually a poet, but in a past life thinks that he could have been a songwriter. They notice a girl outside a store has a sign professing her love for Ray. She is really young, and Hank is annoyed. No one is supposed to be watching yet. Pete tells him to just let him have some fun, and Ray thanks him. It's all good, but Pete makes it clear, if he falls, he ain't gonna be lending a hand. But Arthur offers we were all in this together. There's no harm in keeping themselves amused in the meantime. Pete agrees you're not supposed to make friends on the walk, but he already likes the three of them. Arthur is excited and decides that they're the Musketeers, despite there being four of them. All for one and one for all, they cheer. Gary is disgusted, saying that they're acting like sissies. Another guy collapses to the ground, convulsing and spitting up white foam. Gary is amused and cold. He must have had some undisclosed medical thing. He gets a third warning and is taken out. Gary calls this a good thing. His odds just shot up. Traumatized once more, Ray hopes the killing will get easier. But maybe it getting easier wouldn't be a good thing either. At mile 25, the boys busy themselves with girly magazines, and Gary takes some photos of things off the road. Pete starts munching on something, raw ground venison, he reveals to Hank's disgust. In France, they call it steak tartare. It's a delicacy. But Hank argues the French aren't so smart. They eat frog legs over there. Oh boy. His legs suddenly go to jelly, and the others spring into action. They work together to lower their pace right to 3 miles per hour, and before long, Hank is already feeling better. Ray gobbles down a ration and tosses the wrapper aside. Hank scolds him again for littering, and unluckily drops his. They try to tell him it's no big deal, he'll get more, but he already gave away all of his Spam. He's allergic, so that's all he has for the day. Ray kindly gives him one of his. He doesn't like it anyway. Musketeer, Pete smirks. Up ahead, that Gary guy is harassing another dude, Rank, about his name. I mean, weird name and all. Gary seriously can't believe his mom named him that and insults her cruelly. Rank goes for a punch and Gary dodges it, leading to a warning. Gary won't drop it, implying Rank's mother provided him with sexual services. Rank goes at him and misses again. He trips and painfully skins his face on the street. The others shout to get up, and before he can even try, his ticket is punched. They're pissed at Gary for basically getting this dude killed, calling him an asshole. Gary gets defensive. He didn't even touch the guy. He attempts to get another guy collie on his side, but he is not having it. We're not alike at all, motherfucker, he growls. Say that again and you'll be chewing concrete. Looks like you're on your own, bud. And the dude is definitely a bit psycho. Gary is incensed, insulting Pete. He knows how he got that facial scar, pleasuring dudes. Pete shouts back that he can't wait for you to die. He'll cheer when it happens. Gary gets increasingly agitated and smacks himself around to get his bearings. Ugh, yikes. The author guy Harkness joins them and warns of something up ahead, too gross to even put in the book. Word comes down the line that Ronald's got the shits. He's seen grunting and yanks his pants down, evacuating into the road. He slows and gets a warning, and then another. They encourage to just pull your pants up. It's better to be dirty than dead. 45 can't help it and leans down again to poo and gets taken out. Man, I'll tell you, there's always those lists of the worst ways to die, drowning or getting mauled by a bear or something. But having the shits and having to choose between shitting yourself or dying is just unreal. That definitely shot way up my list of worst ways to die. Imagine that final moment. Oh man, I really gotta go, like I can't help it. Bam! And that's the feeling you end your life with. Brutal. At mile 35, the Major is back to say that he's proud of them and their mighty sacks. Where else in the world can you get an opportunity like this? Nowhere! He warns the first night is almost upon you, and for some it will be your last. If you have determination, pride, and ambition, you will see the dawn. Ray is looking checked out, and Pete brings him back, wanting to know about his wish. Foggy, Ray wants to wait until their next moment. Pete finishes. He unwraps some cookies from his mom, flashing him back to her singing Sweet Molly Malone at home. Somehow Ray actually managed to fall asleep while walking and has been dozing for hours. He knows it's the mind using the old escape hatch. Don't you wish your feet could too? Ray spills that he was dreaming about his mom, and Pete is encouraging. That's the stuff that'll get you through. The others, of course, start making remarks about his mom, pissing Ray off. They calm down, and Ray really didn't realize just how much he can miss Ginny. He has to win to see her. At least he'll be in Freeport, their hometown. Gotta at least make it until there, he says with determination. We learn Ray did have a girlfriend too, but broke up with her before coming here. As for Pete, he doesn't really answer, simply stating, nope, I don't. Gary pounces on the moment, calling them gay boys. Ray trips and gets his final warning. Pete tries to help as always, but tempers are flaring. Ray accuses his whole friendly thing to just be an act. He's really dreaming about him getting his ticket too. Pete defends he was just trying to help, and Ray walks off on his own. They come upon a sign. A high grade is up ahead. Stebbins knows this is bad news. In one walk a few years ago, more than half of them died here. Just then, someone is taken out. The vehicles roar right up to them and keep their guns trained as they painfully hoof it up the incline. More and more get blasted, and Gary talks trash to the others. You're not gonna make it. You're gonna die tonight. Ray isn't gonna make it, his eyes glazing over. Pete helps him to keep it together. Start by pouring that canteen over your head. Now keep one foot in front of the other. And they realize they made it to the top of the hill. Ray gets faint again, and Pete keeps him going. He wants to apologize. He didn't mean what he said earlier. Pete tells him to forget it. Well, what about the rest of the Musketeers? They're all good, Pete relays. Just keep it moving. On mile 59, a new day is dawning and Ray is fading. Pete attempts to keep him active, asking if he thinks he's gonna win. He needs to. Well, they all do to survive, but Ray still has his mysterious specific wish. Does he think he'll win? No, Pete, he admits. Pete felt the same thing since 11 o'clock last night. He hoped at first it was all just gonna be some kind of big joke. He realized the simple truth to this: walk or die. It's not about being the physically fittest, it's actually about your brain. Not man or God, but something specific in the brain. Pete feels that he doesn't have that. He doesn't want to beat people that bad. When his time comes, he thinks he'll just sit down. Ray hopes that isn't the case and scoffs as long as he outlasts Gary, and they both laugh. They can definitely do that. As for how many walkers they lost at this point, they lost 14 overnight, leaving 19 left. Things are already thinning out. Collie and Ray get into a little beef, and Pete accuses everyone of being buggy today. No doubt thanks to walking 67 miles straight. There's a warning for 49 to keep it moving, and their ankle is all twisted up. The guys shout encouragement as two kids watch on. Art shouts for them to get out of here. Harkness then gets his third warning. I'm gonna go, he starts and gets blasted. This is all really getting to Ray. This thing is fucked, so fucked. Gary is unsympathetic, suggesting to write him a poem or song maybe. They call him a killer and it hits a nerve again. Pete goads him, and Gary cryptically says that he has plans for him. Now word from this week's sponsor, Factor. Well folks, we are well into fall now, and we know the rest of the year is gonna be flying by why with the holidays and everything. That's why there's not always a lot of free time to cook, and that's where Factor comes in. Their chef-prepped, dietitian-approved meals make it easy to eat well no matter how busy your schedule is. Factor has a huge variety of weekly meal options to choose from, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. If you're trying to keep your wellness goals going throughout the holidays too, you can enjoy even more GLP-1 friendly meals and new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good-for-you fats. Factor gives you more choices to better nutrition, and that's why I'm a huge fan. So eat smart at factormeals.com/ending50off and use code ending50off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code ending50off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Soon the Major's back to inform them they've made it 100 miles, a goddamn accomplishment. Takes elephant-sized sacks to do that. They wonder, why does the Major always look so fresh all the time? Is he even human? Stebbins knows that he gets to sleep at night and even showers. Well, that's not fair. And they know that really none of this is about fair. Stebbins lets out a sneeze. Uh-oh, is he getting sick? But he excuses it's just allergies. A number 31 makes a run for it and does not make it too far. Yep, escaping is definitely not an option. At mile 103, the boys are back to dreaming about winning this whole thing. Art wishes at this point for just a foot massage, but he's just joking. No, he'd ask for a rocket ship to take him to the moon. Apparently they can do all kinds of crazy stuff like that. Ray mentioning that one kid wished for an elephant, and they just gave it right to him with a saddle and everything. They really can give you anything you want. Hank chimes in after a while he'd wish for 10 naked ladies. The group thought he was going out, but he says he's just fine. In that case, they can rip on him for that stupid ass wish. If he gets the money, he can get naked ladies whenever he wants to. Hank admits he never thought about that. They turn to Pete, and he's actually changed his wish in the last few days. He'll wish for the walk to have 2 winners. That way people can have some hope that a friend might make it too. Hank shits on his idea, and he's unwavering. I have to at least try. Then it's Ray, but he still remains cagey about what he's really after here. Arthur teases to just tell us. Their chances are slim to none. What's the harm? He points out that the odds are actually getting better and better, and he's feeling a little better today, showing off a little high stepping. Hank is preoccupied by his gum. It's got no more fun, no more flavor. Yeah, gum lasts about 3.2 seconds flavor-wise. They tell him to just spit it out already, but he's attached to his winter mint. He's convinced in his gut that as long as the gum lasts, so do I. They gotta get through this together. It's inevitably back to Ray. Can you just tell us what the thing is already? He won't exactly specify, but his intention is to change things altogether. Hank rattles off, you can't wish for things that change state policies or procedures. Well, maybe his wish would enact change indirectly. Gary tells him to cut out that talk. The Major will shoot him if he hears. Ray doesn't care anymore. He figures in 2 days, he's either gonna be dead or a winner. He's gonna talk while he still can. Pete agrees. Fuck the long walk, fuck the Major, and gets several more to join in on the chant. Even Stebbins is slightly amused by the camaraderie. It's night once more, and the rain pours down. Pete and Ray are supporting each other, looking out of sorts. Ray comes to from a sporadic slumber and offers to Pete to get some rest. That's all you, Pete smiles, and Ray is right back to dozing off. Pete covering his ass again. At mile 144, Stebbins' cough returns. Ray lightens the mood with some catch. Art is forced to stop and take a shit, nearly losing his head, but pinches it off right before his ticket is punched. He runs up to the others, groaning that was the fastest shit he took in his life. Hank offers that there are 3 great truths in the world: a good meal, a good screw, and a good shit. You can't argue with that. This Hank is a real smart cookie. The boys banter a bit more about Art's religion, but they cannot take his smell. He relents to leave, allowing the pair to discuss Ray's ultra secret wish. Ray trusts him enough to tell him the truth, so long as it stays between them. He sighs. His dad was a hero. He wanted to show him things that could have gotten him put in jail, banned music and books. That was just the kind of guy he was. He wanted to show him the old ways. Pete knows all that shit is illegal now, and Ray assumed that he was being careful enough to not get caught. Then he remembers back to a fateful night years ago. Ginny sings that lullaby he remembers, and his pops William is there too. They toss the baseball, establishing why he brought the ball now. The peaceful moment is interrupted by the door getting cracked open to several officers. They grab Dad and throw him out into the streets. The Major himself is there to take him to task for his high crimes of banned materials and ideas. He is still presented with a final offer. He can pledge allegiance to the state system now or face immediate deactivation. There's still time to be an example for your son and make the honorable choice. Will does make the right choice. He will pledge no such allegiance. The Major wishes him good luck. Will turns to his son, telling him, "Don't forget who you are." His final words certainly makes an impact on his kid, along with his motivation here. We now understand that Ray's motivation is vengeance. He's He's going to wish for a gun and put the major down right on the spot after he wins. It's all about honoring his dad. He risked everything to show him the old ways. Now Ray has a chance to do his part to change things the way that his dad wanted. He considers the other side, but he chose to leave them, so how is that good? There is more to consider. How hard is it to kill a man? He's killed a deer himself, and that was difficult enough. Killing a person is only okay for a certain kind of person. Pete offers his own perspective, the kind of person that can't see the beauty in the world, the sky, and everything. You know what else is beautiful? Us? Yeah, real friends. Ray still isn't getting it. Why does that matter? Because no matter how much time we have, these moments matter. Say it, Pete commands. This matters. Moments matter. Ray echoes. However, after all this is over, he's still gonna kill the major. Pete doesn't see the point. If he does, they'll just kill him. Ray isn't so sure. It's uncharted territory. I mean, he would be the winner. Pete goes for the heartstrings. What about his mom? Ray's irritated. There are things bigger than me and my mom. There's a bit more debate, seeing a family watching. Ray is still hung up on his view of things. A family like that, they're pigs just wanting to see the bloodshed. Pete sees it differently. It's just a family that loves each other. They can't be mad at them for being conditioned into thinking this is okay, when really, they're the same. Ray's wish won't mean anything if he doesn't think a family like that isn't worth being saved. He may as well sit down now and let them punch his ticket. The point is, vengeance isn't enough. Pete, even amongst all this dystopia and violence, can still see the beauty in the world pointing to a rainbow. He's curious, you ever had a brother? Nope, neither have I, Pete smiles. You want to walk with me a while? Ray does, and they are becoming closer than ever. True friendship on this walk of death. They reach mile 170, and in desperation and pain, someone goes to the tank for help, and they run right the fuck over his legs, squashing them into oblivion. They still give him warnings after, until they inevitably shoot him in the head. Woo, jeez. Things get more tense as another kid, the one with the radio, tears off his clothes and runs ahead of the pack. He veers off the road and is immediately riddled with bullets. Everyone is getting worse for wear. Hank is struggling again, mumbling about his precious gum. He wants to go home. An ironic weathered billboard suggests to take the train next time and relax. Another night falls, and they reach mile 201, and the walkers are really thinning out. There's some mind games from a coughing Stebbins. Ray, are you tired yet? They say he's got some balls talking when he looks like shit himself. Then he goes on this whole thing about the donkey and the carrot, and Stebbins thinks Hank has lost his taste for the carrot. They shout to Hank, are you okay? God's garden, he mumbles, it's full of weeds. He removes his hat, walking right towards the guards. He goes for one, and they open fire. There's a second warning, and they get him again. Hank shouts for his buddy Art to help. He is obliged to run to assist, and there's a second warning. Then Ray has to run after him too. I did it all wrong, Hank croaks. I'm here, Art holds him, but Ray knows that they have to go now. I did it wrong, Hank shouts, and he's shot in the gut. Art is frustrated that Ray pulled him away, but now he's gotten more like Pete. He didn't want to lose him too. He needed me, Arthur cries, and now both Ray and Pete lend a hand to help their pal keep trekking forward. Collie can't get over how stupid Hank was. He could have at least shot a dude. Pete is incensed, and he respects that he didn't go quietly. Collie actually does too, and reveals that Hank was married. They don't believe it at first, but Collie insists it's the truth. He told everyone at drop-off and got grief for it. He was the only one with a wife. And get this, her name's Clementine, just like that song. Pete suggests to make a pact. Whichever one wins has to help out Hank's wife. Just something to make sure that she's okay. They go through the group one by one and they all agree. Stebbins starts hacking up and is frustrated. He hasn't been sick in 10 years, and of course it happens at the worst possible time. Regardless, he's not gonna let that stop him from winning this thing. Gary approaches Ray and wants to know why wasn't he asked like the others. I think you know. He feels they got off on the wrong foot. He's a good enough guy, and he's never really had a crowd of his own. He's always blowing it. He addresses that rank kid. He really didn't want to see him go and struggles for what to say. He keeps seeing that moment over and over. He can't do it anymore. He can't think that it's his fault. Ray comforts him. It's not his fault. What do you want to be part of the deal? Yeah, he does, and asks him to tell Pete about it too. He gets emotional. He doesn't want to die hated. He gets really upset about rank, and they say it's all right. They're just friends now, walking together. He tells Pete he's part of the plan now, and Gary smiles, appearing slightly less frazzled, but he loses it again. He can't take it anymore. He's gonna be with them forever, and punches his own ticket. No one understands why he did that, and they walk by as he bleeds out. At mile 260, they come to a flaming car. Collie starts singing, "Oh my darling Clementine," and the whole group joins in a chorus. They continue on, and Collie notes that they are getting close to Ray's hometown, and thusly his mom. He's a bit jealous he's gonna see her instead of just all those those pigs that come and stare. He's feeling homesick, and everyone is at this point. Pete thinks that his mom being there might actually make things more difficult. He just wants them to keep on walking. They arrive at a small downtown area. They've made it to Freeport. The sole on Ray's shoe crumbles right off, and they know it's better to just lose them both. They pass by some trucks, and he glimpses his mom there. He gives a little wave, and they tell him to keep on walking. He can't help it and runs back to a warning. He just wants to hug her. He knows he fucked up. He gets another warning, and Jenny shouts to go, keep walking. He calls after that she was right. This was a massive mistake. He should have just stayed home. Pete tries to get his attention. You want to know how I got this scar? And Ray finally opens up about his past. Both his parents died in the big war when he was little, and he honestly doesn't remember anything about them. A drunk uncle took him in and abused him before dying when he was 10. After that, he was just pretty much on his own. Along the way, he met some other kids like him, either with no parents or parents that didn't care. He slept wherever he could and got into trouble, picking fights and stealing. One day, he picked a fight with the wrong guy. He got him with a hunting knife, not just his face, showing off a monster scar on his neck. He was left for dead. He then woke up sometime later to hospital, and he wasn't upset with the guy. It wasn't his fault, it was his own. It was this moment that he adopted his positive worldview, to find the sunlight in all this fucking darkness. What's the point of a second chance if he didn't? Ray agrees. He did find the light. He would have been dead without him several times, really. Pete confesses, you know what? It's not that easy. He tries really hard. He doesn't have much to lose and everything to gain. That's why he's here. He wants the prize to do something good, like help children like him. You know what he could really have used, Ray? A brother. He tells him if he does win to choose love. Take the prize and go home to your mom. You're a good kid and deserve it. By mile 306, they know things are getting closer than ever to the end. Pete proposes that from now on, they don't help anyone anymore. It's up to them to go the rest of the way. What about the Musketeers? Fuck them. They know this is better for all of us. Out of nowhere, Art gets a nosebleed, and Stebbins is unfazed. We've all got issues. They call out to Collie, who is looking pissed. Fuck it, he growls, and goes for a gun. He gets one soldier, then another puts him down. He starts chanting wearily in Algonquin. Collie grabs the gun and points to his chin and goes out on his own terms. Now it's just the 4 remaining. Art's nose is still bleeding, and they are not sure what's going on. After some more miles, it's still bleeding. They dismiss it's not that bad, and an internal hemorrhage is pretty common. Just keep walking, Ray proposes, but Arthur has reached his own end. I'm gonna die now, boys. He apologizes. He's going home. Pete tells him, don't apologize. Keep your head up. You gave it your all. I did, he asks. Yeah, like fuck you did, which pleases Arthur. And hey, you even made some friends. He thanks them both and hands over his cross necklace, requesting they give it to his grandma. Art wants him to promise one last thing. Don't watch him do it. He works his way out of their grasp and gets his second warning. Ray is flustered. Pete distracts him again. You know what he wants more than anything? An orange Julius. There's a gunshot, and they both keep moving, and Ray dons his necklace. It's just 3 left, and the Major is back. The boys are sick of him, grunting to shut the fuck up already. The Major is into it. That's the spirit. Flex that sack and get that prize. Dude's obsessed with nut sacks. Pete and Ray get a warning, and Stebbins rattles off some more info about the long walk. Pete coaxes him to just say something real. He does in his own way, expressing I'm the rabbit. He finds himself akin to the robot rabbits at the dog track. No matter how fast they run, they can't ever catch it, because it's not flesh and blood. Maybe it's time for him to stop being a rabbit and just be real people who bleed. He exposes his own secret. He is the Major's son. That's how he knows so much about the walk. Unsurprisingly, he's got dozens of kids all over the place. All Stebbins wants for his wish is to be invited to tea with his pops, essentially becoming part of his family. The problem is his very real flesh and blood is failing him now. His lungs are filling with fluid, and he just wants to end this with some pride. Stebbins decides it's his turn. As always, they tell him to keep walking, but he's done. He warns them about the upcoming crowd. They want to see the Major do the final kill. He is glad that it is the pair of them at the end. They tell him it was nice walking with him, and it was an honor. He hangs back and is soon dispatched. Now only the compadres remain, and the rain starts pouring down again. Ray has his own confession to make at this stage of the whole thing. He never really thought about death when he was a kid, until what went down with his dad. After that, he was scared shitless of dying. But then there was something about being with these boys. It reminded him that all you're guaranteed is the time you have. Basically, we are all going to die. Can't do anything about that. If you're lucky, you get to choose how to spend your final moments. He concedes that Pete's perspective was right in the end. Every moment matters, especially at the end. For some reason, that calms him, and he's no longer scared of dying. At mile 330, 31, there's a crowd that cheers upon seeing them. The friends eye each other inquisitively, almost sensing what the other is going to do. Pete decides to hang back and gets a second warning. He tells Ray he's gonna win this, do it for your mom. Ray won't let him stop, saying he's being a brother to a brother. They go on a bit more, and Ray stays back this time. A shot rings out to more cheers from the onlookers. Ray sacrificed himself instead, feeling that his selfish goal of vengeance isn't as important as Pete's desires. The Major does the same spiel as he gave to his father, and shockingly takes Ray out. The crowd exclaims in excitement, and fireworks go off, while Pete is devastated. Major proclaims Peter as our new champion. The crowd breaks into America the Beautiful, and more fireworks burst. The Major tells him the cash prize is yours, but what's your wish? Pete considers, and he asks again. He wants a carbine, and he points to one on a guy nearby. They hand him his wish, and the Major is confident. He's not gonna shoot anyone. Remember, this is the one that wants to make the world a better place. Pete still turns a gun on the Major, and he is a bit taken aback. He tells the others to hold their fire. There's no issue yet. The riches and everything are waiting for him. Don't throw it all away. Pete grunts, "This is for Ray," and pops the Major. He looks down at an empty street, the rain drizzling. He walks away from everything as a thunder rumbles and fades away into the night. Well, that certainly was a surprising outcome, as we really feel like it's Ray that's going to take the win. It's the obvious outcome. However, there is a very important dynamic that develops between Ray and Pete through the walk. Pete teaches Ray a whole different way of looking at the world, which along with befriending the others changed Ray. It allows him to see and understand perspectives outside of his own narrow view. In the end, he comes to understand his wish is selfish, and that's why he elects to sacrifice himself for Pete. He also would have never even made it remotely close to the end without Pete's help, so that makes sense too. Pete really was the one that should win. Pete's choice in the end does back this up too. Killing the Major was Ray's wish, and ultimately, just as Pete told Ray earlier, he should pick love. That is what Pete did, and this feels like the real meaning of the ending. With all the depth and darkness in the world, we need love more than ever. Sure, the wish isn't technically the smartest choice because it doesn't really fix anything, and if this was realistic, Pete would have been popped as soon as he shot the Major. Although, interestingly, things do take a slightly more fantastic turn in that moment that changes things a bit. I kept replaying this series of shots, and it's a bit hard to say with certainty, but after Pete fires, it really looks like the crowd disappears. There's a big plume of fog there instead, and then facing the other way, there was a vehicle right behind him that also seems to have vanished. I could be mistaken, but I gotta say this does feel deliberate. It has a sort of otherworldly tone to the ending. What really matters is the Major is dead, and Pete made that choice. He goes off to walk on his own and leaves everything behind. All this does actually feel slightly reminiscent of the book's more ambiguous ending. There it still comes down to the final trio of Stebbins, Ray, and Pete, but things play out differently. It's Pete that first elects to give up. He takes a seat because he can simply not go on any longer. This leaves Stebbins and Ray. Not long after, Stebbins drops dead. So by this point, especially after losing Pete, Ray has nothing left to keep his wits about him. He's physically and mentally destroyed by the walk. He is declared the winner, but is so out of sorts by then that it's kind of like he doesn't even notice. He's more distracted by a dark figure he sees up ahead and finds himself compelled to follow after them. There's so much more to walk, he says. Again, he's been destroyed by the experience, and all he knows is to keep walking. It's up to you to decide which ending works better, but I see the point of the movie's ending, making the villain much more clear in the Major, and with his death, there is a much more character-driven note to end things on. Ray did get his vengeance, and at least there's a potential that things could change in the future. Well, maybe not. We don't really know. It's the decision that Pete makes that's really important. That'll do it for this ending explained for The Long Walk, and you can leave me requests for anything you want down in the comments or by reaching out to me on social media. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks for watching